What do sex, love, baseball, and pizza have in common?
It's a very deep question.
Yes.
That's the question that we're here to find out today.
Yes.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this, because usually we are used to the baseball metaphor.
Yeah.
And you know what? Some people may not be familiar with that metaphor. We would probably want to summarize it for them.
Sure.
So then we could talk about the pizza metaphor.
Right. Well, first thing I want to mention. So there's a TED Talk by let's see. I think it's Ed Vernacchio. It is on. Let's see.
We'll post this in the show description.
Yeah. So Al Vernacchio, he did an excellent TED Talk talking about the metaphors that we use for sex. And one of the popular metaphors that we use is baseball. And of course, when you talk about sex in the colloquial with people, they often start talking about first base, second base, third base. Are you playing for the other team? What team are you playing for?
Okay, that I don't. You'll have to explain that one. That one to me.
You're playing for the other team?
Meaning you're checked out.
It's a homophobic sort of statement.
I see.
Like, if I'm going after guys, a homophobic male might tell me that I'm playing for the other team.
I see. Okay.
So that's one term that you meet for with baseball. Like, you might be talking about who's swinging with the bigger bat, like all of those different different analogies.
Naive beginning.
Oh sure, yeah, I believe that. Yeah. So there's all these metaphors, and it's kind of like when it makes sex into a restrictive thing that's not cooperative. It's like competitive.
So let's make sure that everyone's kind of on the same sheet of music with it. First base, from what I understand, it's kissing, right?
I believe there's all sorts of different things, different ways to categorize first base. Although I don't know the official basis of. I don't think there is really an official. Okay. But yeah, a lot of people talk about kissing meaning first base. Second base might be like might be some sort of touching.
Touching of the body parts.
Touching of the body parts.
Clothes still on.
Yeah. Third base would be like sex that's either like,
oral
manual
sex.
Or digital or oral.
So you could have an orgasm at third base.
Yeah.
Technically, yeah.
Technically, you can have an orgasm at first base.
That's true. That's true.
You can have an orgasm before first base. Yes, but third base is sure. Yeah, third base is like some form of sexual contact that is not sex, that is not sexual intercourse because it's all sex, and home run is like you're like is sex in terms of intercourse, penetration.
Of course, for some women, there is no orgasm with intercourse.
For many women.
So yes,
right.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, those are kind of, baseball analogies, and it kind of puts a restrictive frame around sex because there are set rules to it. Like, there's an order by which things happen. Like, the home run is a certain thing. There's this pinnacle that we're trying to get to in sexual activity. And it doesn't acknowledge that something that is a home run to one person might not feel like a home run to the other person, as we've just given one example of that, of people not having orgasms during intercourse, but maybe having orgasms during other things, or really genuinely enjoying another sexual activity a lot better than what people might typically call a home run. So there's an order put around it. There's always a certain time that you're supposed to play baseball. Like, you're supposed to play baseball when there's a set time on a clock for playing baseball. There's also you're supposed to have sex, at the end of, the third date or whatever people, might say. Oh, it's supposed to be the second date. It's supposed to be the first date. So, there's a certain time for it.
You know what? I think at some future video, now that you said, because that's a question on dating podcasts, they're always asking, when should I have sex? I think maybe through the lens of internal family systems, we have to define when's the best time to have sex. When the self is there, when there's more self-to-self connection as opposed to the ego protectors.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different answers to that question that I'd give. But on the TED Talk, what this gentleman introduced was another metaphor, and he said, "Why not think about sex like pizza?" And when do you eat pizza? Not when it's a certain time of day or anything like that. You eat pizza when you're hungry and you want pizza. And there's no okay, you're supposed to show up and eat pizza right now. If you don't feel like eating pizza, too bad, it's time to eat pizza. No, that's not how it works with pizza. Pizza, you eat it when you're hungry, and whoever wants to eat it can eat it when they're hungry. If you don't want to eat pizza, you don't eat pizza. And the way that you talk about it, there's no certain way to, eat pizza. You can fold your slices up and eat the pizza. You can eat it with a fork and a knife.
Okay. So let's translate this. How would a pizza eating foreplay session start? Let's say the woman is washing the dishes in the kitchen.
Whoa!
I'm naive, Percy. I'm asking.
Oh, okay, so you're asking.
How would a pizza, when you look at it through the baseball analogy, the man would go up and try to kiss her, then touch her, then grope her, then try to get her in the bedroom. But in the pizza analogy, what would that look like?
Well, if you're dealing with a partner situation, either partner could be hungry,
right,
or horny, or however whatever emotion for them comes with sex, and they might want it, and they'll do in whatever way they'll suggest it. Hey, they'll have their certain way, be it touch or verbally. Hey, do you want to fool around, or do you want to do? I'm feeling kind of frisky here. What's going on?
Yeah.
But just like when you get hungry, it's just hey, you hungry? And it's yeah, you feel like some pizza? Yeah, some pizza would be good. What do you want on your pizza? What do you like on your pizza?
Oh, okay. So that's where the difference is because you're asking, you're getting curious.
Yeah, you're getting curious. You're talking about it. You're bringing it up, and often people might just happen to have pizza there, and you eat. And if you like what's on the pizza, you eat it. If you don't like it, then don't eat it. But when you have a pizza as an analogy for sex, there is an opportunity to talk about and discuss the pizza and the sex and sexuality before actually having it.
Oh, that's great. So you're communicating beforehand.
Exactly.
To say, tonight the flavor of pizza that I'm feeling is, let's see. I don't want too many toppings because I'm tired, but I know that you want a lot of toppings. I'm just playing with you.
I love it.
I've never had this kind of conversation.
You never had this conversation?
No, of course not.
Okay.
So
how would that go in real?
Okay, I'm role playing.
In real talk?
I have no idea. I'm just pulling this out of my head.
Okay.
So let's say.
I love the role play.
Okay. Let's say you were coming up to me and with your.
Let's say I was hungry.
Let's say you were hungry.
Okay.
And I'm washing the dishes. I'm and I got kids to take care of and emails to answer, but I want to stay connected to you.
Yeah.
It's okay. You want pizza tonight, right?
Right. I might not even say that. I'd say, you know what? I don't know, something's coming over me. I love that lower lip. I just want to bite it right now.
Oh, okay, okay. So you want this flavor?
Huh?
Oh, so you want the flavor of my lower lip? You want to bite it? I'll let
you do that. That's a good flavor.
I'll let you do that. Okay. So.
Yeah.
So, share with me the pizza that you would like to have tonight, and I'll share with you the pizza that I'm in the mood for.
Well, yeah. So, So I mean, if we were literally having this conversation,
Yes.
we probably wouldn't use the word pizza.
Oh, but what if
What if we did? You could.
What
Like,
if-
what would you like on your pizza tonight? If we were already in this kind of game
that
metaphor.
would be so playful because
Oh.
it's a secret language between
Mm.
partners. Wouldn't that? Oh.
You know what I'd like on my pizza tonight?
Yeah. And okay, let me share. I'm tired. I have a
That's
report
funny.
due tomorrow. I'm okay with the pizza. Yeah, I'm okay with you biting my lips or whatever it is that you like to do, but I want to be there for you, but I don't think I have the energy or the libido to take it all the way home for me. I have
home?
this.
I'm just playing. I'm not familiar with that baseball analogy of sex.
Well, it's just saying I'm willing to hold the space for you, and if that, and which means I think this is something
that's cool.
that partners probably have to talk to beforehand, where I'll hold the space for you to self pleasure yourself, so that you can masturbate yourself to an orgasm.
Mm-hmm.
Where you're not going to be ashamed of it, but I'm holding space and holding you and touching you, but because I don't have the energy to go where you want to go,
Yeah.
I want to be okay with it. So that's my plain cheese
Oh,
pizza
yeah.
where you got like 5 toppings on it. You want to do a few things. You may wanna touch my body, whatever, which is okay.
beautiful, yeah.
But you're recognizing
Yeah.
that I have other parts, other protectors up that are preventing me because of the deadlines at work.
Yeah, you're better at this than I am.
Oh,
my
okay.
goodness. Yeah,
Does
yeah.
that make sense?
So no, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, how can we both get what we want? It's kind of like the analogy of, okay, I like my pizza with 5 toppings, but tonight you only want cheese. Well, hey, we can split the pizza in half, and we can get half with all these toppings, and your half can have just the cheese, which is cool. So it's kind of like seeing what works for both partners. There have been times where it's been like, one partner might be really hungry and the other partner might not, want much, and it's just like, cool. Like, can we just snuggle? I just want some form of a connection. Like, that's cool with me.
Yes.
That's
And that's what's missing in most relationships, is that they're not having the open discussions about sex.
Mm-hmm. So it's either we're doing it or we're not.
Yes.
There's no question about we could do this in a way that works for the both of us. But it's not like it's on, either we're playing baseball or we're not. Well, we might be having some form of pizza, but we can figure out what works for both of us as far as what flavors or what toppings are on it.
Yeah.
In some way, like I like to think about, like there's this book called Sexual Intelligence, and we can get you the author later, but it talks about sex as, and it's not sex as in sexual intercourse or any particular sexual activity. It is, what people like about sex, what the essence of sex is, which is, was surveying a bunch of people. He came up with the 2 fundamental things, which are connection and pleasure. So it's kind of like, what form of connection and what form of pleasure, would we like to have? And there is probably some form of connection and pleasure that would work for 2 people, in a relationship, or 2 people who want to relate to one another.
Yes.
That would work out for both people.
Yes. Yes. So I think that this level of communication is probably, if we want to use another metaphor, this is probably college level of communication, where most people who are in long-term relationships probably stale, they got into a routine, and they're not really talking about the deep and intimate stuff because they have lost touch with it. Or maybe they talked about some of the vulnerable stuff at the beginning of dating, when men tend to open up a little bit more, then they get shut down, and they don't, the man or the woman, or the man-to-man, homosexual relationship, heterosexual, it doesn't matter what kind of relationship it is. But because we're not taught how to speak for our parts that come up, like, yeah, I want to say, yeah. Okay, Percy, I see that your desire is very high tonight. I want to acknowledge that. And I want to let you know that I love you, and I want to make love to you, but tonight I just want to let you know what parts are up for me.
Yeah.
I got the kids that are, I have to deal with one of the teacher emails, and I got a couple of things at work that I need to finish before we go to bed.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what's up. So based
Right.
on what's up for both of us, how can we come to a compromise where it's satisfying for both of us?
Yeah.
And the couple has to establish that.
Mm-hmm.
I think that as people are listening to
That
this,
is.
they're probably wondering, before we even talk about sex, how do I even get to this conversation? I'm thinking, from what I hear, that a lot of men tend to get, if they've had a good lovemaking session, and if everyone's satisfied, so that post-coital high, or whatever you want to call that tenderness where you're holding each other, you've got the oxytocin released, and the sweet nothings are whispered. So we're in that self-to-self connection. How does one even start that?
We're going to start the self-to-self connection.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And so I think that let's save that topic for another video, which I think we should make right after this.
Let's make that, because there are some good answers to that.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Yes. So this topic of the baseball, pizza, lovemaking, it's just inviting everyone to look at lovemaking, sex, whatever you want to call it, from a different lens, through the lens of, we all have parts of us that come up in situations, and we need to acknowledge that other people have the same thing. Everyone has parts that come up, and the emotions that we're feeling, the mood that we are in. You know how I'm always checking, is she in a good mood? Is he in a good mood? Ooh. And it's also getting in touch with, hey honey, I noticed that when you walked in the door that you weren't your usual chirpy self. Can I get curious to ask you what's up? Are you I want to support you?
Right. And they might say, yeah, we'd love to talk about it, but not right now. Or they might open up. Right?
Yeah. Yes.
So it's like patience for whatever parts have to be there, or whatever in that person happens to be going on. You know, you can say it without parts even involved, but what's going on inside of you. And so there are ways to talk about that, to have that sort of language, as that sort of communication, self-to-self communication in general. But, and when you have that type of communication in general, it can be that way around sex. But I think as far as the analogies go, I think for me, what I get from the analogy of pizza versus baseball is that when there is baseball, there are certain ways to do it and certain strategies, and it just locks you into something, and people are always going to have a different idea about how things are supposed to happen. And when there's a pizza, you can have a discussion about it. There are a number of different ways that people might like their pizza, although most of the time it does involve connection, which you might say that's the crust and pleasure.
I love it.
the crust of the pizza of sex is connection.
Yes.
And the pleasure in it is the cheese. And you can always sprinkle a lot more things on it.
Yes.
To enhance the pleasure of it. But fundamentally, you're having closeness, you're having some connection, and you're having some pleasure. And beyond that, the sky's the limit as far as what you can do with it. And you just can't do that with baseball. You can only do that with pizza.
No. So everything starts with connection, and we'll we'll provide the link below for the foundational understanding of what self-leadership is, self-leadership in parts.
Sure.
So that video will explain this framework that we're talking about, because we are all made up of lots of parts inside of us, lots of inner characters that run our lives, the thoughts, the emotions, the feelings, when we get angry and when we can't speak up and we bottle things up. So we have to understand that we all have these characters inside of us, and we have to acknowledge them, and we have to have a common language when we are speaking to our friends, to our spouses, to our family members, to our kids. It works in everything. So once you know the foundation, then you could get curious through the self about what is going on with the person. So think about like
then
curiosity.
you bring it into your sex life, which makes it a lot more fun.
Yes. So and that's what we're going to be teaching. So it's looking at your sex life through this whole different lens. But first and foremost, we got to establish the connection, and that's probably one of the hardest things that people are probably going to struggle with. If they're not even connected outside of the bedroom, how do they even get connected in the bedroom? But if you have to think of the moments when your partner actually gets a little vulnerable. Is it after the orgasm? Is that the only time he or she whispers things that you don't normally hear when the clothes are on? Or maybe it's over dinner.
It might be during sex. Like, people say all sorts of like vulnerable things during sex that they would never say, outside of the bedroom. And so sometimes, sex, for different people, sex can get you into your parts and out of sex. For some people, sex gets them into self, where they can really be more vulnerable.
Yes.
So, and we'll talk about all of that.
Yeah, so we'll provide the link to the talk.
To the TED Talk, yes. So, leave you with that. Al Vernacchio. It's a TED Talk done in 2012, and it's Sex Needs a New Metaphor. Here's one. So that's a good TED Talk to check out. And hope you go watch that, and hopefully you'll check into some of our other videos too.
Yes, so let's just wrap this up to say it's all about acknowledging that we don't have to go around the bases. We use the pizza metaphor to say, all right, what are we in the mood for? Maybe it's half cheese and half with everything on it.
Half supreme, right?
Half supreme,
right?
Or half cheese, and then the other half just has a couple of ingredients. Right. And you talk about it, and when you do it from this playful perspective, it just makes the sex life that much funner, because you actually get to talk about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But whatever metaphor you use, hey, talking about it is definitely very useful.
It all starts with connection.
Right. It all starts with connection.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Yeah. And this whole video series, this whole YouTube channel is about how do we establish that deep connection so we can have a thriving love life, which we all crave, because that's what brings us joy. Spills over into everything.
Cheers to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Alrighty, until next time, if you liked what you heard, just share this video and click subscribe and comment below so that we could see where you are. Your comments will help to inform future videos that we can make to help teach you to get to that next level in love and relationships. Till next time, bye.